Okay, hello everyone. Thank you so much for being here. We want to give you a really warm welcome from the Conference Planning Committee to all of you, and that includes Jamie Weeks from Weber State University, Amy Hunsaker from University of Nevada, Reno, Teresa Hebron from Mountain West Digital Library, and myself, Kinza Masood, also from Mountain West Digital Library. We really appreciate you taking the time to attend today's meeting, even though we know that things are not the way they were in the world before March. There is so much uncertainty and sadness these days, but we are persevering in the midst of it all. Thank you. There are also currently many moments of unrest as we are needing to learn new way to do our work, and I know that can be hard to navigate the world differently. We're learning to work with new coworkers, our spouses, our partners, our roommates, babies, kids, pets, and plants. And there's a learning curve around all of that. So things are definitely different, but please know that we are always thinking of you and hoping you're staying healthy and safe. We were definitely hoping we would have been able to host the conference in person this year, but we're happy to be able to at least have you here with us virtually, even if it's for a short amount of time. And actually, after much conversation and deliberation, we decided to hold a conference over 2 days for just an hour each day. There were a number of factors and considerations around that. I just wanted to let you know about some of those considerations. One being that some of you may already be saturated with Zoom at this point. And secondly, we were also concerned with accessibility issues. Like I'm already having some issues with Zoom at the moment. And some of us are probably working with smaller screens, even on our phones, with maybe even sometimes unstable internet connections. So we wanted to focus more on a conversational style format for this conference, as opposed to focusing heavily on slides. But some people wanted to use slides, and that was completely okay with us. So mostly the slideshow is a placeholder for agenda items with a sprinkling of some slides. And thanks, Teresa, for putting together the slideshow for us. Our agenda, by the way, is very simple and small today, but not unimportant. Keegan Dome, Mountain West Digital Library's metadata and outreach assistant, might be helping us with minutes. We're not sure if he was able to make it, but we're definitely recording. It's going to be an archive recording, so you are being recorded. I wanted to just let you know about that. Please feel free to enter your question into the chat box, and we will try to address them at the end of each section. And also, please provide a brief intro before your brief speaking part, providing your name and name of your institution. And please mute yourself if you are not speaking. So now we're going to jump into the MWDL updates. By the way, in case you're wondering, Mountain West has been working remotely since mid-March. We are hoping to go back into the office in early July, but it all depends on many factors, and we don't really know where that stands at the moment. This last year, we have spent quite a bit of time making connections with other DPLA hubs in my role as DPLA Network Council Vice Chair and sitting as ex officio on the DPLA Advisory Council and working a little bit more closely with the DPLA working groups as well. We're looking at roles and goals of working groups, looking at effectiveness and communication channels between working groups, the Network Council, onto the Advisory Council and DPLA staff, and hoping to learn from that and provide those learnings, apply those learnings to MWDL as well. So that's been keeping me quite busy. Amy Hunsaker and I have also currently been serving on a new DPLA task force called Ideas, and some of the work there may possibly inform some of the strategies for MWDL and the way we conduct business and select content for our collections in the future, and Amy will be talking more about that in a bit. We have been doing some work, and we've made significant progress in curating our resources for education this year. We will talk more about that later as well. In working with DPLA, we have started to look at ways in which we can leverage digital library resources and services to benefit our society and the world right now. I mean, with the physical libraries being closed and not knowing how things are going to be next year around this time. So for, again, remote instruction, education tools, primary source sets, other resources to be used in the classrooms. We're also looking at ways to possibly curate our resources for genealogy research. We're looking at exploring crowdsourcing text transcription for DPLA content by catalogers at hub institutions that may need remote work. We're encouraging partners to look into metadata cleanup projects. This may be a good time to work on that right now and look at the state of our metadata and our collections. We're looking into identifying and sharing remote professional development opportunities, webinars, etc. So we're looking at resources we've already published. Most of you actually have helped us create and archive these webinar services. And we're looking at rebroadcasting some of those as they apply with what's happening today. So for example, if you're looking at migrating to a new system, you want to know how to do that, or you're looking at how to clean up your metadata, you know, we are looking at matching up your needs with what we've already archived and maybe looking into future webinars as well. We're open to ideas. Please contact us if you're interested in collaborating or have something new to share. We're currently right now working with James Kitches, who is Assistant Director of Archives at Utah State Archives Department. His department has been working with the Utah State Historical Society, Records Advisory Board, also known as USHRAB, in looking at the possibility of partnering with MWDL for a proposed digitization project. So in short, MWDL may be asking you guys, our partners, to look at grant application options through MWDL, where the funding will be coming through USHRAB. Some of the pros of this partnership between MWDL and USHRAB and State Archives would be that we would be able to look at requirements for Mountain West compliance with metadata standards and DPLA and get those collections and more content into DPLA sooner. We could also promote the grant opportunities to our partners directly and sooner, and also look at how Utah collections and connect with other content and collections with our out-of-state partners as well. Mountain West is currently looking at hiring a new web developer. This is a part-time position, by the way, and we typically have selected student employees to do this work. Our current web developer has recently graduated from the UVU and has found full-time employment. Really happy for him, but we need someone new in the role, and a website right now is the way people get in and see our collections, and so it's very important. So right now we're currently looking to transfer a student with a CS major emphasis from another department at the Marriott Library into ours, because there are currently a number of students who actually cannot go into the library and work because of the lockdown. So we're in the midst of conducting interviews over Zoom. We're going to go into task force updates.
Oh, hang on, I've got some updates as well.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I had a note here. Sorry, you have some updates, and actually Amy has an update too. Sorry.
Yes, yeah, that's all right. I'll round up the Mountain West stuff here, and then we can go over the ideas.
For collections and content.
Yeah, so this is Teresa Hebron speaking. Welcome everybody. And I would say it's nice to see you, but I can't see anyone because I'm the one running the slideshow, so I'm looking at the slides. But as far as metadata and systems things around MWDL are concerned, I just wanted to say that despite COVID, it's actually been a pretty busy spring here. You all have submitted 17 new collections for harvesting, and that brings our total number of collections to about 750. And those come from a diverse group of partners, including Utah State Archives, Utah Department of Heritage and Arts, Utah State University, Utah Valley University, and of course, University of Utah. So Kinsley's already speaking about DPLA. We've continued to have our quarterly harvests and have had 2 so far this year. That's been in February and again in May. And then our next harvest is going to be coming up in September. And I do want to remind everyone, I just spoke about this at last year's summer conference, DPLA offers a dashboard of usage statistics of our records in their platform, and we're able to create an account for anyone who's wanting to take a look at those. So some of you have already taken advantage of that. If you're interested, please let myself or Kinza know. All we need is an email address to create that, and you can set your own password. It's all web-based and very easy to use. So this spring, I also started holding metadata office hours once a week, beginning at the end of April, and those are at 2 p.m. Mountain Time, so 1 p.m. Pacific on Mondays, and I've been doing them via Zoom as well. They've been a little bit lonely so far, but if you have questions about upcoming projects that you may have, the new application profile, or if you just want to stop by and say hi and let me know how things are going, I'm going to keep that same time through the end of June, and then maybe reevaluate if there's a better time or day that works better for other people. So because we're having the conference right now, I sent a note earlier saying that this week's session is going to be held on Wednesday instead due to the conflict. We also continued hosting our community education webinars, and we've held 3 so far in the late winter and early spring. That was GitHub for libraries, Arizona Memory Project presented about their metadata remediation that they've been doing in the last 18 months to 2 years. And then we also had an introduction to the new metadata profile that came out at the end of last year. So as always, if you're interested in presenting in any of those, again, let Kinza or myself know, and we can work on scheduling promotion with you. And then the final thing is we started a new Twitter campaign concurrent with quarantine, Historic Collection of the Day. So once a day, I tweet out a collection from Mountain West, rotating between all the different hubs and occasionally highlighting either topical collections to do with current events or honorary months, for example. So if you have a collection you'd like us to feature again, please let me know. And with that, I think it is Amy's turn.
Okay, everybody, just quickly, we wanted to make you aware of this because although it hasn't been approved yet by the DPLA, it is coming down the pike, and you are going to be hearing about it more in the future. So last summer, the DPLA Network Council identified a series of priorities, and at the very top of the list was the creation of a statement on inclusion, diversity, equity, access, and social justice. Ideas, that's what the acronym comes from. And so from the preamble, I'm just going to read this really quick so that you understand where it's kind of coming from. With a membership that represents a broad but not broad enough diversity of institutions and a growing collection of over 37 million items, the DPLA is in a unique position to see and reflect on the historical homogeneity of our collections and to recognize and act on the need for diversity, representativeness, and respect in how we conduct the work of documenting and providing access to our shared history. This statement is a first step toward these larger goals and frames our collective commitment to an authentic reckoning with our past and an active stance toward doing better for the future. So it was led by Council Member Ann Hanlon, our task force that Kinza and I served on, with other members of the network and I think there were some representatives from some of the hubs. Now the statement is prescriptive. Members do not have to sign anything, like in order to remain in the DPL, they don't have to follow these, but we felt that these recommendations are very strongly needed. Personally, as we were doing research for this, I was kind of shocked at the number of archives and libraries who don't post any sort of diversity statement for their collections. And I think that it's a very timely thing to do right now. So we created the statement. It was provided to the Network Council last month for approval. I think that, and Kinza can jump in, I think that they're going to take another month to kind of look at it. And basically we provided, I'm sorry, go ahead, Kinza.
Oh, no, I just was unmuting in case you needed me. Yep.
Oh, okay. So in short, this statement just provides recommendations for the diversity of materials, content, and collections, the diversity of members, and acting in good faith. We have a do no harm statement. And then we have created a bibliography of all kinds of sources that different institutions can look to that would help them create their own diversity statements or their own policies. And that's pretty much it.
Thanks for that, Amy. I think you did a really good job of covering that. So I think the most important thing to remember, it is not prescriptive. It is something, though, that we would like to stand by. Our members don't have to sign anything, but I think it's important to have diversity statements for our collections and sort of making sure people know we're acting in good faith. And if we need to take some content down, I think we need to have some procedure around that, but we can follow up more on that later. I think at this point, let's see,
Right,
do we have any questions? All right, there are no questions, so I think we can run into our task force updates at this point.
Okay, so our first one here is metadata, and I'll be giving the update for that. So in case you missed it, the Mountain West Digital Library Metadata Application Profile version 3 was completed and published on December 13th, 2019. I want to give a big thanks again to everyone who participated in the task force throughout 2018 and 19. We couldn't have done it without everyone's help, and I know it was a long stretch of many, many meetings that we had. So this newest version supersedes the 2011 version 2 map. V3 is available on the GitHub site that we created for it, or GitHub repository, I should say, on the Mountain West external website, of course, and it was also added to Library Workflow Exchange this spring. So to cover key changes, we updated the table layouts throughout for all of the different elements, changed quite a bit of wording, which is detailed in the version change history that's available in the map itself. But most significantly, we included mappings for mods elements to DC. We shifted from using 3 to 2 levels of obligation. So now we have just either required or recommended. And we made fewer elements required. So in response to some work that was done by a previous task force, how better to integrate archives and archival materials and description into Mountain West, we elected to make description and subject recommended rather than required. So that actually relaxes the requirements for getting collections in. Hopefully we'll see a spike in things joining Mountain West. So this March, I co-presented a webinar with Liz Wolcott from Utah State University, who was my co-chair, to discuss the new map document in detail. And that webinar can be viewed in our presentation archive. It's linked from the event on the MWDL website if you go back and find that. One more significant change is that issues and questions about the map can be submitted either through GitHub as issues or to us via email, and the directions for doing that are in the footer of each of the pages of the new document. So the task force elected to adopt an annual review process in December to review any issues that come in throughout the year. So far, nothing has been received to date, but we hope we maybe get a question or two, but we wanted to establish a more ongoing process of reviewing and updating our map rather than having it be 8 or 9 years between updates. So finally, Liz and I began working on a submission to the DCMI annual conference that got tabled because it was canceled due to COVID. But we are looking for other opportunities to promote both the map and the task force's work. So if you would like to do anything, or if you see any opportunities, please let us know. And if there are no questions, then we'll move on to the outreach task force next.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
We can. Go ahead, Catherine.
Great. I'm Catherine McIntyre from Utah Valley University. And so I will talk about our outreach efforts since the last report, which was last fall. So, of course, COVID-19 has had a big impact on a lot of conferences getting canceled. So we'll focus on Library Day on the Hill. Teresa represented Mount West Digital Library at Library Day on the Hill, and there she is on the slide. And she had 7 brief and 8 in-depth interactions. And an important one was with State Representative Mike Winder, who told her that he just loves Mount West Digital Library and uses it a lot for his own research. So that's great. Great anecdotal shout out for Mount West Digital Library. We were also able to go to Roots Tech, and that was at the end of February. And again, as we did last year, we shared a large space and costs with some of our sister institutions, State Archives, State History, Salt Lake County Archives, and the Marriott Library. We had a big kind of corner booth, and there were lots and lots and lots of people. That was a great idea. It worked out really well. So Mountain West Digital Library had 221 brief interactions and 130 in-depth interactions. And I want to thank all the great volunteers who helped out with that. Teresa, Scott, Ken, Kinza, Char, and me. And since Roots Tech is quite a big commitment, it goes over like 3.5 days, and it's a big deal. I wanted to measure if possible, the pre and post Roots Tech statistics. And so I took a look at the statistics from each hub, which included all their partners before Roots Tech, so January, February, and then afterwards, April and May, and to see what I could find out about whether it affected usage statistics. And overall, the MWD stats didn't increase over all of the collections, but there, of the 18 hubs, 10 did see increases in usage. And some of them really got hit hard. Utah State Archives, which kind of makes sense because they have lots of genealogy related resources and that sort of thing. They were up 143%. Oregon Digital was up 88%. UNR up 75%, and BYU up 55%. So it was really interesting to look at those stats. So even though it's a lot of work, it's worth doing. I think it's worth our commitment to the money and the time that Roots Tech takes. And if any of you are interested in getting your own statistics, let me know, and I can look into that. I did a lot of number crunching to find those out. Okay, and then we'll move on to just to remind you of some of the resources that MWDL can provide for promoting your own collections. If you're using your contents or collections in creative ways, or want to try to increase your MWDL usage stats, contact us and let us know. Can put together a blog post, or like January's partner was Oregon Digital, and Keegan interviewed Julia Simic of Oregon Digital, and interviewed her about, I think they spotlighted 4 of their collections. And she reported that 2 of the collections did see a spike after the blog ran over January and February. And so you can see a little graph down there of one of the collections where the spikes hit. And she said, in her own words, I asked her if she thought that the blog post was worthwhile, worth the effort. And she said, absolutely yes. Even if people just go and browse for a few minutes, they now know that the resource is there. All publicity is good publicity. So please remember that these services are available. If you have a new collection and want to try to just promote it, or you're doing something really cool, let us know. And we can work on some way of doing a blog post or something like that, and see if that boosts interest in your collections. So that's all I have. Thanks.
Thanks, Catherine.
All right. Hi there. This is Andrea.
Hey, Andrea.
Hello.
Yeah. You'll have to forgive me for not using my video. My internet gets a little sketchy if I do that. So, okay, I did have some slides, but it doesn't look like they're here. But I can do this without them, so it's fine. I'll just name the members that we have had on the MWDL Training Task Force. Currently, we have Lindsay Memory, myself, Ken Rockwell, and Liz Wolcott. And there was also Paula Mitchell, who helped serve on the committee, who recently withdrew. I just want to take a second to give a big thanks to everybody on the task force for all the help that they have given the work and helping it move forward and all that stuff. So the major highlights of the activities that we have done since this group has formed were pretty much, we conducted a survey of the MWDL community to gather some feedback on what training resources that were desired. We gathered training documentation from our own institutions, as well as contacting other MWDL partner institutions to see if they could contribute to the pool of resources. We determined a good, appropriate platform for the MWDL partners to use as a one-stop shop to access these training materials, which we chose Library Workflow Exchange. So there's currently an active portal on MWDL for these training resources. So you could go there now and see what we've compiled so far. Most recently, we have conducted a gap analysis to identify areas of need where our current resources don't cover. So we're currently working to finalize that gap analysis review and refine the Library Workflow Exchange, particularly the categories that we have there. There's some improvement that needs to be done with that. Our future plans are pretty much to contact our MWDL partner institutions again to see if we can gather training resources that will address the gaps that we've identified. And we will work on adding those if we get any from the library to the Library Workflow Exchange, so that everybody can benefit from access to these resources. We would also like to establish a training resource maintenance schedule that will include regular annual contact with these groups and really just do a call out for contributions for the training resources that we can add to the Library Workflow Exchange. And also to do like a scheduled review of the current resources annually to make sure that they're always up to date and useful. And that's pretty much it.
Thank you so much, Andrea. This is Kenza, and I apologize about your slides. I guess
That's
we're
fine.
learning. Yeah, I don't know why I don't see slides right now, but you know what? We will post them, we will find them, and we will post them to the notes that go out. So we'll do that.
Thanks.
You did so great without them. Okay, so I guess it's my turn. Task force update. So about the systems task force, we've been talking about this a little bit. And you know, we've been working on setting up a new task force to review the systems used in the current MWDL and DPLA hub networks. So we're talking about hosting services, systems such as Content DM. I mean that's just one example. Of course, Islandura. We're talking about preservation systems. We're talking about anything else that helps aggregate services. And looks at technology trends, of course, digital preservation, as I mentioned. And you guys all helped us fill out a survey. And so there's interest in people joining the survey, the task force. The thing is that the whole COVID-19 has kind of thrown us off a little bit, but we are now looking at putting together this task force. We're looking at the membership, we're looking at the people who actually said they were interested, and we're also looking at the goals and looking at what the goals and outcomes for this task force will be. So please stay tuned for those of you that expressed interest on serving on this task force. Education toolkit peer review process, possible new task force. So many of you know that we've been working over the last few years in building and curating a primary source toolkit with the idea that it would be used in the classrooms. And the idea is that we're reusing our existing resources in classrooms that are already there. They've been curated to integrate into K-12 curriculum and lesson plans, in mostly working with grades 4 to 9. And it may not seem like we've done a lot of work, but we have done a ton of work. Andrew Ho, our current web developer who's leaving, has been working directly. I've been facilitating the process with the professor at Utah Valley University who works in the Department of Education, and also some teachers that are graduating through him and through their education department, and this is great. We also have to ensure that the content meets core content standards for social studies and history. So it is good that we can actually collaborate with people who are experts in education. They're aware of the policies and compliance requirements around that. We have actually recently finally released a beta version of the toolkit that is currently being used in some classrooms already. However, the release happened just before COVID-19 lockdown. So, and I did send an email out, and I think right now we're having a little bit of a hard time collecting enough data because teachers are already having a hard time following, their own lesson plans. So we want to wait a little bit and see about the effectiveness of the use case of having this resource be used in classrooms. We're also working through some bugs, mostly to do with our limited administrative accessibility on our WordPress license, which is the platform that is currently being used to host the toolkit. But we are working with Marriott Library IT and hoping to resolve this issue. So once we collect some data on the in-classroom use case, we hope to work on a sustainability plan. And I think we're getting really close, that I'm really excited about that. And how that would work is that we would love to contact our network, that is you guys who are interested in education. We're in social sciences and social studies and history. We're hoping to build a review process where members of this task force can help us evaluate the content that comes into Mountain West and look at the collections to see it fits into the various categories in the toolkit. So if you're, again, interested, let us know. If you're interested in serving on the review process, you can contact me directly. We will be forming some sort of an rotating advisory group for this sustainability plan. All right, that is, I think we're going to now, if there are no questions, let me take a look at the chat. We'll move into the lightning rounds, I think, and that's facilitated by Jamie.
Okay. I feel like this whole conference has been a lightning round. Is everybody caught up? Are you caught up? So on the slides that Teresa has provided, it just gives the order of how we're going to present. These are just going to be 2-minute presentations, and really just talking about any new projects maybe that you've taken on, or how you're managing throughout quarantine, or really anything. You're welcome to share anything your institution is working on or new ideas in a 2-minute time. So I'm actually going to leave my speaker on so that you'll be able to hear my phone as the timer goes off. Does that work? And I think you all know who's representing your areas. So starting with BYU, I think it's Corey, right, Corey? Am I wrong?
Corey Neimer, are you with us?
Is anyone here from BYU? I think there were 2 people. Oh, there was going to be Corey Neimer and I don't know, it's on a different list. There's too many screens happening here. Okay, so skipping BYU, Idaho.
Hello, on behalf of Idaho, this is Allison Floyd with the Idaho Commission for Libraries, and I'm going to bring the lightning to lightning round because I really don't have any news for you. STAX is still standing, the state is still producing government documents, and we're still cataloging and uploading them and making them available for the enjoyment of all. So yeah, sorry, I wish I had some fireworks, but I'm just gonna bow out on that note.
I feel like everybody's fireworks have sizzled out, fizzled out.
Well,
Okay.
I set a good precedent for these updates, I guess.
There you go. Northern Arizona. This is a combination, state of Arizona and Northern Arizona together. I don't have the list of names. Teresa, do you?
Ryan, are you with us? Brandy, I see you're here.
Yeah, there's also Peter from Northern Arizona University who, so anyone can go first, or the Arizona Memory Project, Brandy or Ryan.
I believe Ryan is trying to get online right now.
Okay, all right. See, these are the joys of doing things virtually and from home with unstable internet connections. Like, it's completely fine. We can, if Peter, is Peter here right now? Otherwise we could. Sorry, Jamie, you're the one who's facilitating. I'm gonna mute.
Oh, it's fine. So we don't have anybody from Arizona.
Ryan is on his way trying to get online right now. So if we
When
can
he's
just,
on, he can jump in. That'd be
yeah,
great.
that'd be great. Thank you.
Okay. All right, let's move on to Salt Lake Community College. I just want to say SLIC because that's what we call it here, but Salt Lake Community
Yeah,
College.
we call it that too.
Hi, Jen.
Hi, yeah, I'm Jen. Anyway, I don't really have anything new or bright and shiny to share, but we're just plugging along and experiencing the joys of coordinating digital work whilst telecommuting, which I'm sure everyone is enjoying thoroughly as well. And we're sort of, while we can't do scanning, we're doing more to support our OER and copyright initiatives. So that's it.
Interesting. Okay. Okay, Paula.
Ditto, we're not doing a whole lot. We're just finishing up a couple of projects. We, like other universities, have jumped on the COVID-19 bandwagon, and I'm getting some really great student submissions. So I'm really happy about that. And we do have a couple of USRAB grants in as partnerships, so I'm looking forward to that, and I'm looking forward to when we can all meet again. That's kind of lonely.
Well, we have a tiny bit of time. So can you tell us because I've heard through the grapevine that the USRAB grants are they're staying on schedule. Is that correct? They're not giving a break for the madness?
No, I don't know how much money they have left on this go around, but the grants for this round are due on the 4th, and then we will meet as a board next Friday. So I'm excited and encouraged about that. So if you've got a grant, hurry and submit it. Get it submitted.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Ryan, looks like you're here.
Yes. Sorry, everyone.
You're good.
Yeah, thanks. So yeah, we're not technically a hub yet. We're sort of working on it. I don't know what everyone else's experience was with signing the agreement with Mountain West, but ours has been long, drawn out, and terrible. So we're just in the paperwork stages. We had our Attorney General's office review the agreement, and they said, hey, it needs these things. And so we sent it to Mountain West and said, hey, our AGO says it needs these things. What can you do about it? What's flexible, blah, blah, blah. So the long sordid tail there is we're working on a second draft to send back to the AGO to make sure that gets approved and then have it sent back. So we're hoping in the coming months that that's something we can get all squared away. So hopefully by the end of this calendar year, we'll be officially part of Mountain West. But I've worked with them on making sure that the metadata harvesting is working, and that part seems to be functional. We're planning on starting with our internal collections. We've got about 20 that we've sort of produced in-house. And those ones should be easy enough to just turn on for the harvesting. We'll start with those. The tricky part will be, we've got about 95 other institutions that contribute to the memory project. And I have to go back and update our agreement with them because it doesn't mention anything about metadata harvesting and saying, hey, your content is going to be harvested in Mountain West and also possibly DPLA because they're a hub. So that just wasn't part of the original agreement that we had with some of these partners, and some of these relationships go back to 2006. So even before DPLA and Mountain West were a thing. So we're just having to go back and resend all of those sort of agreements that sort of supersede the current ones and just get explicit permission from each partner that they're fine with their content being harvested. And if they're not, then it just stays on AMP, and we'll just have to sort of take them collection by collection. We've got about 220 collections total. So we'll just that'll be a long process. But we have to start somewhere, and we can start with the 20 odd collections that we have. So that's our big news.
Well, I'm sorry. It's been so hard. We've gone through that with our purchasing department to where sometimes I'm just like, this software is not worth it. It's
right.
just,
why is it so hard?
I mean, yeah, MWDL is worth it. So yeah, it will be fun to have like your collections in. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Amy, I think you're next.
Yes. Hi, everybody from UNR. We do have bright and shiny news for you, literally.
Yay.
Because we just got a grant to do a partnership with UNLV to collect images of neon signs. Yay, neon, bright and shiny. So we're really excited about that. UNLV has already been doing some work in this area. They've been, sorry, I'm looking at this now. They've been doing a neon survey digital project down south. They worked with the Neon Museum. And so we're just kind of building on that up north. So we're working with some historical societies, some art foundations, and like digital history and digital media here at UNR to collect images. And it's going to be really great. And we just found out a couple of weeks ago, so we're really excited about that. And Emily Boss from UNR also wanted to talk about our repository. So I'm going to turn the time over to her. So Emily, it's your turn. Passing the baton.
Thank you so much. So in December, I think I shared we had just finished a pilot project with the Washoe County Recorder's Office to digitize 20 volumes of their historical documents. That really took off. In January, we had meetings with other facets of the Washoe County offices. So we met with the clerk's office and the assessor's office. They all wanted to partner with us. So we did initially do some pilot testing with other collections, and then COVID hit. So we're hopefully going to go back into the building and do some scanning on that, but it would be over 400 volumes of state historical records. So.
Okay, great. I think next up is UNLV, and Darnell is doing that one.
Hi guys, can you hear me okay?
We can.
All right. It's great to see some of you guys, and I wish I could touch you and reach out and touch someone, but it's great to see many of your faces. During this time here at UNLV, there has been a lot of activity going on since the global pandemic. At UNLV, I was a part of a project that's ongoing. We've established a UNLV Web Coronavirus Archive, and it's a partnership among a couple different people in the Special Collections and Archives. Myself, Erin Mays, our Special Collections Curator for Visual Materials, Tammy Kim, our Special Collections Technical Service Librarian, and Clay T. White, the Director of our Oral History Research Center. And this archive is one where Erin is going out documenting, taking photographs of the empty space during the COVID lockdown.
Interesting.
And just documenting just the space in Las Vegas during this time in crisis. The Oral History Research Center is conducting ongoing virtual interviews with the local communities here in Clark County. Tammy Kim is web archiving a bunch of state, local, county, and community-based websites using the Archived services. And then myself, I've been tasked to data mine Twitter data using my developer's token. I'm basically constructed a search query limiting the search through a 100-mile radius around Clark County. So I'm sampling about 10,000 tweets a day and have been doing this since March 17th. And we've been building this archive out, and this is ongoing. So it's changing. It's a really interesting project. Another thing that we've been doing is some of you have known, we're in the process of migrating out of content DM into Islandora 8. One of our lead developers, Seth Shaw, is doing amazing work there. Islandora 8 is using Drupal with a Fedora backend. And this kind of repository ecosystem will, one, support our large-scale digitization workflows, support linked data, and then it will also support just new discovery opportunities. So we're ingesting right now. Our legacy collections have been remediated and adhering to the new Mountain West metadata application profile. We're ingesting those currently. And the remediations are ongoing. We'll be having a soft launch of our interface in the next couple months. And we're currently working on a metadata tool for the Islandora instance. A couple other things, our NDMP grant will be, our third round of funding ends in September, but we're looking for strategies to continue to sustain our Nevada newspaper digitization after the funding ends. And then lastly, their external funding has been secure for a Wikimedia in Residence pilot program, where a Wikimedia in Residence will be reporting to me, and we'll be developing some Wikidata strategies around our special collections to further expose our underrepresented collections. And we'll be working with our curators to build out a more robust Wikidata program. And as far as UNLV, that's it for us.
Very cool. That's cool. Thank you. Okay, the Division of State History, Utah. Don't know, is anyone here?
Yeah, I think Melissa Coy or Doug Meisner, one of them.
I didn't
Maybe.
see Melissa here.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't see anyone.
Okay, she's not here. Yeah. All right, you can move on.
Okay, Gina, I know you just showed up. Do you want to report? We're just doing 3 minutes, Gina.
Okay, yeah, I just got out of my other meeting.
Okay.
Now I'm thinking really quickly. I think probably the biggest thing that we did recently is finally upgrade Content DM to the responsive interface. And so now we're on the latest version. And so that was just about a month ago. And so just kind of following up, lots of cleanup. I've been doing a lot of metadata cleanup. As far as projects go, the big one we've been doing the last year is women's suffrage. So we've got an exhibit online that is a new way of doing it, in that we're actually pulling the images directly from Content DM using their API.
Oh.
So that I don't have to manage multiple copies. And then when you click on it, you just kind of go into the full object. So that's worked out pretty well. You have to kind of engineer the URL to make it work. Trying to think. Yeah, that's just some of the biggest projects we're doing. We're planning a really big one for this upcoming year, all about the Colorado River, because it'll be 100 years since the 1922 compact. And so we're trying to think ahead of that and put together, because we hold the official records of Utah's like signing the Colorado River Compact. So that'll be found in the governor's records. So we're really trying to target those, and that's going to be a pretty big project.
Cool.
But yeah,
Okay.
I think that's all I can think of right now.
Thank you. Thanks for doing that. Okay, Utah State. I think it's Darcy.
Oh, this should be Shar now.
No, it's me. Can you hear
Oh,
me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Yes.
Okay,
Sorry.
great. Sorry, we've had a total shakeup in the library in the last couple days, but it's all good. We actually have shiny news. We're also in the process of migrating. We're going to migrate from PTFS Novation to Innovative Vital platform. And we are all still literally trying to figure out what's going on. The contract negotiations dragged on for weeks and weeks. It was awful. But that's all of our shiny right now.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Utah State Parks. Does anyone, I don't know how, I honestly don't know how it works. So I'm like, I can see that you're all different parks, and so I don't know.
Hello, can you hear Justina? I'm from Utah State Parks.
Totally can.
Well, what this has shown me, even though I've been on the list you all send out, you know, the email thing forever, whew, you guys are speaking a lot of different language than we know. Utah State Parks, Heritage Parks, our museum parks recently held a meeting, and we all decided that our #1 priority was to digitize our collections. And so then I sent this out to everybody and said, hey, because we all want to digitize our collections, we better be at this conference so we know what the heck. But all this has shown me thus far in this very rapid fire information is, wow, we have a lot to learn, and we have a lot to learn quickly. And we can take advice, and I'll write you emails separately about the best way to go about that, the best equipment, you know, all that kind of stuff, because we're at phase 1 base level really for that. And this would include taking photos of like museum type stuff as well, you know, like our collections like dino bones and archaeological stuff, and wanting to digitize that and be able to share it with the public. So I will say we have the desire, but we're on the very ground floor, and we'll be looking forward to discussing this with you further.
Well, make sure you come back tomorrow, because maybe maybe it'll feel, I don't know, maybe it won't feel so foreign tomorrow. So thank you. I don't even know where we are. Oh, did we already do Utah State?
No, Utah State University.
Oh, Utah State University, sorry. I'm sorry, Darcy, that's where I was like,
okay, yeah,
you're
I
right.
was confused.
You're right, you're not the state library, I know that.
So this is Darcy at Utah State University, and a big project that we've been working on since we all started working from home was setting up a transcription program for our student employees to do, but this it's not only library student employees, but also it includes library staff who maybe their work didn't translate as well to working remotely, and also student employees outside of the library that wanted to continue working. So it's been very successful in having a lot of students working on it. One of the big, the focus has been on transcribing our student newspapers. And I think we've been talking about having like one student and one student employee and one staff member come in maybe in the next month or so, a different one each day to kind of move some of these scanning projects along that we have, just whoever is comfortable. But I used to manage the scanning programs, but I actually started a new position at the library in April, which was an interesting time to start a new job. And so I'm managing the Born Digital assets now. And also I'm largely not paying attention to who's coming in for scanning because I'm going to be having a baby at some point this month. So it's also an interesting time to start a new job and to have a baby.
There you go.
Yeah. I don't know if Andrea maybe had anything to update as well.
No, that was great. I thought it would just be nice to highlight those that great transcription thing that's happening right now. So yeah.
Great. That's it for us. Thank you.
Hey, that's very cool. I'd be interested in hearing more about that, so I may email you. Okay, Catherine McIntyre.
Okay, so
put my timer on. So
since the last meeting in fall of 2019, we've added, created and added 4 new collections. 3 of those have been added since I started working remotely. So it's been great for me. I love working remotely, and we've been able to be really productive. So the creation that was, or the collection that was created before we worked remotely was a showcase of undergraduate scholarly and creative works. It was student posters that had been done and accepted for that showcase. Since we've been working remotely, starting March 18th, luckily my digitization technician was able to take a scanner home with him, and so he has a scanner in his home office. And so we put everything up into Box. The school has a subscription to Box, so we can access everything. So it's just made it really great. We were able to create and start working on a Capitol Reef oral history collection, and that includes interviews that were done, I think maybe starting in 2010 or so. So all the interviews have been done already, they just haven't been put online. So we've been editing them and cleaning up the transcripts and putting those online. We started a Utah Valley University Athletics Media Guides collection that hasn't been harvested into MWDL yet, but it will be soon. But that covers the media guides that the athletic department put out from 1980 up to about 2003. So back when the school was Utah Technical College. It includes basketball, baseball, women's softball, women's volleyball, even rodeo. They have a rodeo team. So that's been a really worthwhile collection to put online, because we get a lot of reference questions about athletics, athletes and teams and scores and stuff like that on campus.
Thank you. We're gonna, time's up,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
All right, let me just say one more thing.
Okay.
We did a COVID-19 collection too, that takes stuff from students and employees and community members. So that's been a really fun thing to do too. Sorry I talked too much.
No, you're fine.
By the way, thank you so much, Catherine. And this is Kinza, and I just wanted to let people know that we have about 5 minutes left, but if people are okay to stay an extra 10 minutes, and it's completely up to you, if this is being archived, we can share that later. But in case you want to just kind of do the closing with us, we may need to be 5 to 10 minutes extra.
Sorry.
That's okay. No, we are all
not on you. You don't need to.
I do. Can I just say one more thing? We were with one of our partners, Mapleton Historical Photographs. We added 400 images to their collection. So we are working with our partner collections as well. So
cool.
Not just our own stuff.
Okay. I don't know if there was representation from the Eccles Library, Eccles Health. Is there somebody that was going to report, or am I just moving on to Jeremy from the Marriott?
Sure, I can take it away here.
You go right ahead.
All right, so this is Jeremy from the Marriott Library. So like several others have talked about, we started a Utah COVID-19 digital collection where we're soliciting content from people from all over Utah to submit to us, including photos and stories, written stories to show what they've been going through over the past couple of months and into the future. We started this in early April. So far, we have over 750 items submitted to the collection from around 250 different people. Some of the most popular items that we have in this collection have been with an oral history project that we've also been doing with faculty members at University Hospital and the School of Medicine. I think at this point we have over 5,300 views of the collection already, so it's getting out there quite a bit. We've been trying to push it out there on social media and blogs. Been on the TV news 6 times, on the radio twice, the newspaper 4 times, just trying to push this project out there so we can collect as much information as possible. A related project that we have is the 1918 flu pandemic newspapers, which is now in MWDL. This is a collection that we've curated nearly 1,200 articles from Utah digital newspapers to compare those times 100 years ago with what's happening today. And we've been working on tagging those articles for things like masks, quarantine, hospital, vaccines, legislations, different things like that, just so we can compare what happened in 1918 with what's happening today. And then we're also working with a university professor on creating a digital exhibit for this content. So we'll be releasing that hopefully in the next few weeks. At one of the last MWDL meetings, Rachel talked about the Kennecott mining records that we've been working on transcribing. There's over 42,000 employment records there. The way it was going a year ago, we thought it was going to take several years to complete this project. But with everybody working from home, we've put all of our students on that transcription project. So now we have over 24,000 of these employment records available online. And I think there's around 3,500 more that are almost ready to publish. So we should be able to finish that project by the end of this summer. Another project we've started in the last couple of months is the Utah Religious Architecture Project, headed up by Ken Rockwell, where we're just soliciting photographs from people around the state of church buildings to show religious diversity and how different buildings have been repurposed over the years. I think we're at nearly 200 photos in that collection. Most of them are in Salt Lake and Utah counties, but we're starting to expand to more areas of the state. And then I guess the last thing with Utah Digital Newspapers, I've talked about that a lot in the past couple of years. Right now we're at 3.7 million pages online.
Wow.
Plus we have another 4.5 million pages that are embargoed that'll be available within the next couple of years. So give it a couple of years and UDN will be over 8 million pages, which is huge. We'll almost have every newspaper in the state digitized. So we're really excited about that.
That's cool.
That's all I have.
Okay, thanks, Jeremy. That's really cool. So I guess we're next, and really it's the same thing. I think it'll be interesting when this is over to put all of our COVID questionnaires and surveys and photographs together to see what everybody has collected, because I think we're all of like mind. We just immediately put together the questionnaire and send it out, and have kind of been doing the same thing that others have. And really, I mean, we've just been doing some serious metadata cleanup, and prior to quarantine, we we're talking about working with the U to move from Content DM to the SIMP tool and SOFAL. So we're just like right in the middle of those kinds of discussions when this hit, and had done some presentations, and that may be a really good move for us to get out of Content DM. So that's a consideration that someday we will take on again. But I think like everybody else, we're doing the same kinds of projects from home. Teresa, is Oregon, I see Oregon was added to the list. Did we?
This is Margaret. I'm not going to share my slides. I would just give a really quick update.
Okay, thanks, Margaret.
Yeah, sure. So I can put a little link to the slides in the chat in case people want to see, because what we're doing is creating a new interface for Oregon Digital. So we're migrating our Oregon Digital project from Hydra, which is part of the Samvera community, and we're migrating it to Hydra. And while we were doing that, we thought, well, let's freshen up the interface and how it looks. And so we've been working with a design firm here in Corvallis, Oregon, and they have been doing a really, really great job in terms of making our site look much more accessible and fun to look at. And so that's one of the big things we've been doing. We've also been doing some work with Notch 8, which is a vendor that works with various libraries to work on their HIRAX implementations, and we're working with them to do a bulk ingest and bulk download. So that's something that'll be coming out pretty soon, and it'll be contributed back to the core of the open source project. The third thing that we have is an IMLS grant. University of Oregon's leading that, and OSU is part of that, to add metrics and analytics to HIRAX, which is one of the features that would make it have more parity with the vended solutions that are out there. So it would be more similar to something like bpress or one of the others. And that's really it. We are in the middle of this large project, and we have a lot of teams working on it, but we're pretty excited about a new look and feel for us once we get all things migrated. And so thank you.
Cool. Thank you, Margaret. Appreciate it. Okay, it's to Kenza.
Hello, everybody. And I apologize that I cannot show my, I'm on my phone. I've had some very last minute technical issues. Anyway, thank you so much. Everybody is doing such great work, and I just wanted to wrap up really quickly. I know we're over time. Time and location of next conference, in case not everybody here I know is able to attend the meeting tomorrow for the community day. So we can't say very much right now because we don't know, what this time next year will look like. Hopefully this is all great. We're all working from our offices and we're able to travel, but we're still hoping to have an in-person conference around the same time next year. And if we do end up doing that, announcements will go out prior to the conference. And we'll be asking our network to help us decide the date and location of the next conference. I know we were hoping to have Jamie help us host at Weber State. That's what you guys helped us decide, according to the poll results. And as always, we will also be hosting a winter meeting virtually via Zoom in late November or early December, as we do every year. A little bit about the co-chair information. So our outgoing co-chair right now is Amy Hunsaker. Thank you so much, Amy. And our incoming co-chair is Jamie Weeks. Amy's term actually officially ends today. She's been great helping us plan. And she's been great help in helping us plan this event. And she has agreed to stay on, I guess, as facilitator today and tomorrow too. So thank you for that. And then Jamie's term will end through sort of early June around this time. And I want to also thank Teresa, Amy, and Jamie for helping with this. This has been kind of interesting, trying to do this over our little screens and everything online and not being able to really print things easily, but you guys have all been really great. Meeting minutes, as for those, you should be able to see them next week along with the archive recording. And thank you, Keegan. You can see him taking notes very diligently for taking the minutes. And everyone, please do not hesitate to contact either myself, Teresa, Amy, or Jamie if you have any questions or if you're curious about any of the new task forces we talked about, any of the projects that the Hub Network talked about, if you'd like to participate, collaborate, or learn more. And if you have any questions that were not addressed, please email those to us. And if we are seeing you tomorrow for the community day, we look forward to talking more then. I wanted to kind of say a little bit to Justina from Utah State Parks that, please do attend tomorrow if you're able to do so. I think this will be more conversation style, as Jamie said, and it's not scary. Please, you're welcome to set a time and talk to me, and we can go into sort of the weeds of it or start sort of with a bird's eye view. This is not scary. I'm really interested in learning more about the UVU scanning process from home, and also what you're doing with setting up transcription process for student employees that USU is doing, because our focus tomorrow is going to be how COVID-19 has affected the work of digital libraries and libraries in general, and what have we learned from this, and if there's anything we can do to forecast that this might happen again. We all hope it doesn't. We just want to be prepared and kind of be thinking about a lot of different things. So we're going to be hosting a panel tomorrow with some questions that we'd like all of your we'd like to hear what you have to say around that. So thanks again for attending, and we hope to see you very soon, and hopefully tomorrow, a lot of you. Thank you. Anyone else? Is there any questions in the chat right now? Okay, that we need to address? Let's see.
It doesn't look like it.
Okay.
I hope we see you all tomorrow and come back. We're having bingo.
Right.
Back to popular demand.
And you can always log in early and visit for a minute,
Yeah.
Screen on, conversations, all that stuff. Okay.
All right. Thank you. Have a nice evening, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Yep.